Throughout most of the season, it's been pretty passive in a lot of these situations. Huge shatter! 4-man down, 4-man dead!
This week in the Overwatch League, the Dallas Fuel had one of their best weeks of the entire season, while the Houston Outlaws had one of their worst. The San Francisco Shock proved that they cannot be underestimated, and the New NYXL won $300,000 in prize money and secured the first place seed for the playoffs. We've got all the latest news and the best highlights from the past week.
That was a dangerous moment. Meanwhile, Libero. Oh, by his team. Hello. Oh no! Oh,
that was a moment of pure comedy and also just a million headshots. So.
Oh man, Libero being liberal with the kills here.
After 3 stages of drama, disappointment and depression, the Dallas Fuel seem to be finally finding their feet, and this week picked up back-to-back wins over the Boston Uprising and Philadelphia Fusion, and they looked impressive doing it.
I mean, this team is on fire, and it's Philadelphia just having no answer. They running dive into this, and they're lost.
This feels like a return to form for this team. Taimu looked confident in his Widowmaker play. Mickey's Brigitte is in my opinion the best in the league, and Dallas, more than any other team, seems to know how to make her work for them consistently. Then Seagull had an amazing week, working in unison with his team and allowing his innate game sense to shine through with some huge Hanzo and Diva plays.
Oh, here we go! That's awesome! Gets enough, he gets 3! Whoa, gonna have to change his name to Slimu. Nobody saw that one coming.
The whole team looked much better this week, so what's changed? Well, pretty much everything. They have a new coach who's clearly started to improve their organisation. We saw set plays, organised positioning and flexibility in their hero choices, a huge difference from what they've looked like over the past few months. The meta has also shifted, meaning that they don't have to worry as much about dive, and it doesn't matter that their Tracer player, Effect, is still missing in action. Dallas were never able to put together a consistent dive due to troubles like X2C suspensions and issues with shot calling, but now that's not an issue. They're instead focusing on ultimate control and controlling sightlines with double snipers, and it's working really well.
He didn't die once, they walked right down Broad Street. Taimu a big part of this yet again. Let's take a look at the old move up top, just plinking folks.
Yeah, this third one's gonna be good.
3 shots, 3 kills.
However, above everything else, I think it's the change in attitude that's made the real difference. The early losses and drama that plagued the team set them on a bad path. And with expectations so high, the pressure was too much. The players blamed each other or blamed themselves too heavily, and public comments just caused the drama to continue. However, the drama now seems to be behind them, and there are pretty much no expectations for the Fuel to do well. The pressure is lifted, and the players are able to enjoy the experience again, relax, and rebuild some confidence.
We've seen it in the past here from EQO, the hero blades. Yep, he spotted his target right on the Harry Hook immediately. Go! Immediately! Mickey the hero again! Turning up big here for Dallas!
The real test will be when they face adversity again. If they get stomped by London or the Shock next week, will they be able to recover, or will they go back down that bad path? I think it was important that they lost their control game in the middle of the series against the Fusion this week. The Philadelphia team simply outplayed them on that map, and the old Dallas would probably have tilted and lost momentum as a result. But instead, they kept their heads cool and pulled out the win on the next map. Getting used to losing without it impacting the team's mental state too much will be key to their success, not just this stage, but going into Season 2. Not every team had a great week, however. Boston continued to struggle in this new meta, and as a result have dropped down 2 spots in the overall standings. Seoul also continue to underperform and are now out of the top 6.
He kills the entire backline for Seoul Dynasty. It's falling apart here for Seoul on the offense. They just don't have the time to come up with the magic.
The Houston Outlaws also had an abysmal week with losses to the Gladiators and the Shock. The Outlaws looked very good last week, and this new meta seemed to be something that they could make work for them. But this week things fell apart, in particular against the Shock, where they were repeatedly full held and only managed to score a single objective in the whole series.
Nowhere to go here for Jake. He needs to survive a little bit though. Gets whittled down eventually by Sinatra. That sets it up here for NYXL to get picked as well. That's Architect actually finding the kill on NYXL.
The Shock have really improved over the last 2 stages, and are now looking very strong, but crushing the Outlaws this hard in this meta is surprising.
Architect though right now just hitting headshots all over the place. 3 kills for him. Another one, 4th.
As for the Outlaws, I don't think it's time to count them out of the season playoffs just yet, but it's going to be very close. They have a chance to recover next week as they play Shanghai and Florida, but they now have very little room for error and will have to hope that the Gladiators or Philadelphia drop numerous games over the next couple weeks. The New York NYXL's dominant lead in the standings now means that they are guaranteed the first place seed for the playoffs, and as a result, they will get $300,000 in prize money. This is on top of the $200,000 they already picked up from winning 2 stages, and as the top team in the Atlantic Division, they also automatically get into the season semi-finals without having to compete in the quarterfinals, meaning they are guaranteed at least another $100,000 from that, giving them a minimum season winnings of $600,000, and the potential for a lot more. So looking at the stage standings, unsurprisingly, New York is at the top, and then we have both of the LA teams who so far are keeping pace. However, some of their toughest games come in weeks 4 and 5, so it's hard to be sure if they will hold on to those spots, but so far, it's looking good. Then Philadelphia and Dallas are fighting for that 4th spot. The middle of the pack teams like the Shock, Outlaws and London are all within striking distance, but the bottom 4 teams are really struggling, and this is a huge shift for Boston, who went from the top in Stage 3 all the way down to the bottom in Stage 4. In the overall standings, like I mentioned, Boston's weak performances recently have seen them drop down from 2nd place, and now look at risk of falling out of the top 6 entirely if they can't stabilise. The Seoul Dynasty are now out of the top 6 entirely as the Gladiators move up 2 spots, and this also forces the Outlaws down into 8th place. Next week we have a lot to look forward to, starting with the final battle for LA on day 1. Then on day 2, Shock vs Dallas could be a great match. Fusion vs Gladiators is also important for the stage and season playoff implications. On day 3 there's a lot of unknowns. Seoul vs Mayhem could almost go either way at this point, and Boston will need to sort out their troubles in this meta if they want to have any hope of beating the Shock. London vs Dallas should be an interesting game, and New York vs the Valiant will be the LA team's chance to hit the top spot in the standings if they can pull off the upset. Which matches are you looking forward to next week? Let me know in the comments below. As always, this is James for Curse, saying thanks for watching, and enjoy the game.